Hey friend, welcome back to Lujin Custom. So today, let's talk about polyurethane.
Let's see, we are going to need that, that, and that.
I'm gonna get all that pulled out of the corner into the light so we can talk about what we're gonna talk about. All right?
Oh yeah, we need to get over here. Let's see. Nope. We need that right there.
Nothing to see in there. No future projects or anything.
Okay. Little makeshift workstation.
So we can get busy talking about polyurethane. First things first. Alexa, turn on garage door. There we go. We got some lights. So I'm not all dark, brooding. Anyway.
So you've been thinking about improving performance on your Scion, and you're thinking about getting polyurethane bushings. Maybe you had no prior experience with them. That right there is your engine mount. That's my old engine mount. And why would you consider going with polyurethane? Well, let's see here. You see this? This is the original mount. How much flex you got in there? Right? Just with one hand.
You got to keep in mind that our Scions they're pushing close to 20 years here, real soon. And your motor mounts, your trans mounts, your lower control arm bushings, your sway bar end links and those bushings are all rubber. And, you know, with temperature changes, all the heat cycles, really air pollution is big. Some of the places you live, you know, the road salts breaks down the rubber. And, you know, these things wear out, they break, and you need to replace them.
Now, as I showed you, this is my old motor mount, my old engine mount that's on the front side of the motor, which in your car will be on the passenger side. Right? This is the old one. The new one's already installed. We've got here. This goes on the passenger side, or on the driver's side. Brand new. And that's your trans mount, your main trans mount. I'll have to get that open. Okay, here we go. So here's a brand new transmission mount. Right? And it's nice solid rubber there. You get these big gaps here. And those tend to be failure points on these mounts. You can see on this old mount, I look down in here, that's a big gap right there. You can really see it here. That's why they're designed, but rubber mounts.
These rubber mounts are designed that way. They're designed to have some give in them and some flex to minimize noise, vibration, and harshness, and give you a more comfortable ride, basically. And that is also true in your suspension components.
Now, why do I have two boxes? These are obviously energy suspension. Let's get them opened up here. Come on. That one. All right. Let me debag these.
Okay, I got them debagged. And yeah, if you're going to do your lower control arm bushings, you need both. And it's really stupid, but I'm going to show you why you need both.
Okay, so here's the first bag. And then over here, there's your second bag, right? It looks like a lot of pieces. Obviously, it's different size, right? Now, let me show you why. So you're going to take, you got one here. You're going to do this on the car and push that through. And you set that there. We'll do that over here. Boom. Like that. Like that. There we go. Okay. That's kind of hard to see with the black background. Okay. Back a little bit. Put it on the bag. It comes with 2 tubes of grease, one for each one. Right? Now, we'll go over to this other side. And you do the same thing, except, see how big that one is? That one is smaller. They're different sizes. So, 1 and 1 there. Alright. Oh, that's gonna, there we go. It's a little bit stiffer. That's okay. That's good enough. All right. Anyway, you get the point. That one goes there. Now, you got, oops, you drop some things here. So, 2 different boxes. Obviously, 2 different parts. Why do you need both? Because one goes there, one goes there. You'll need this on the back side of your front lower control arm. Go in, mounted basically like that. Then you'll need one on the front side of your lower control arm on the same side. And then, because it's triangle shaped, then out here you will have your ball joint going into your steering knuckle. So basically you need one of each for each side. Why they didn't put this together in a full kit to do the whole front end is beyond me. Or even to do, one of these along with one of these to do just one side, and then have one to do the other side. Why didn't they do that? It's stupid, it makes no sense. And what's also misleading is I've seen these kits, I think on eBay. It's easy to mistake them for polyurethane bushings to go in the rear axle. And the rear axle bushing looks completely different. And these won't work in there. So don't buy those expecting those are going to go into your rear axle beam, because they don't. The other thing I wanted to talk about in regards to the polyurethane bushings for suspension is the hardness and why you may or may not want them. Obviously, I'm going to be installing them on mine. I'm not doing that on this video. We'll save that for another day, another battle. But, yeah, so improved handling, increased durability, restored performance, better than new. Yeah, it can be. The thing about polyurethane is it's a lot harder than the rubber. And there's a way of measuring it they call durometer, duro hardness, whatever. Anyway, these are like, I believe they're about a 75 or so on the duro hardness scale. But your say this rubber or this rubber here is about a 60, 65 durometer hardness. I mean, this one's actually still pretty stiff, but yeah, you can see right in here I can make it move a little bit, just with my hand.
So the durometer hardness on these polyurethane bushings can be good and bad. So for your chassis and suspension, let's take the suspension. So replacing your, say, lower control arm bushings with polyurethane will obviously stiffen things up. And so things like your alignment will stay set a lot better. You'll have a lot less give. It'll be more responsive in feel out on the road. The downside is you're going to feel the road a lot more. You're not going to have that rubber to dampen it. So you need to decide. It's bad to do, unless you're setting your Scion up for something like racing, for track. It's not necessarily a good idea to replace everything with polyurethane. But that also needs to be qualified. And let's go back to the motor mounts and talk about what I'm doing with polyurethane and the motor mounts.
Okay, back to the motor mounts. Motor mount, transmission mount, and that is the torque strut. Or you could consider this to be the rear motor mount that goes, you'll see that back by your exhaust, right? And yeah, that looks ugly, but it's functional. Let me explain why. It started out, this is a brand new mount. That's the old one. Remember, I've already replaced this and installed the new one. And then there's a trans mount. So this one started out looking around here pretty much identical to this. So you got this big old space. Oh yeah, you can see my finger through here, right? So I filled in the gap along here with polyurethane. And you see it's pretty, it's not super soft, it's softer. It's a lot softer than the lower control arm bushings, right? And what I used for that is Loctite PL. They've changed, this is the new rebranding. Polyurethane roof and flashing, and you can get these at your home improvement stores. Hardware stores.
Now you'll definitely find other YouTubers on here who talked about doing poly mounts, and the product they used when it was a Loctite, I believe it was S30. I'm pretty sure that's what it was, but Loctite, or whoever their parent company is, rebranded. So now it's the PL polyurethane. And it's 100% polyurethane. And so that is very similar in hardness, as I showed you, to the rubber. It's about 60, 65 versus 75 or maybe even 80 for the lower control arm bushings, the energy suspension bushings. And the reason I'm going that route is, well, number one, I'm replacing all the mounts for the motor and the transmission. So that's good. And I'm doing it a little bit preemptively. I'm not waiting for something to be broke. the other reason is the way this is going to act is close to stock. You know, it still has the feel of rubber damping for the engine and transmission, but instead of those gaps, that's going to be filled in, so it'll be like solid rubber mounts instead of solid polyurethane. Even though it's polyurethane, they're gonna work together. And also that polyurethane. Let me show you here.
Going back to this, you can see if I let me see here. See, there's rubber up here on the edge, right? But I went ahead and I sealed it in best I could with the polyurethane. The whole point with that, on both sides here, the whole point with that was to eliminate the exposure of the rubber to oxygen and ozone and air pollution, which contributes to, you know, obviously oxidation contributes to the rubber breaking down over time. So it's a little more sealed. And so how I did this is that you see this looks funky, and I could have smoothed it out better, but I didn't care. It was, like I said, it was more functional than anything, and you're not going to really see it. But so you cut your tip off. I'm sure you're familiar with these and the caulking guns. Cut your tip off, stick your nail down in there, puncture down inside, right through there, right? So that you can get it squirting out. And so what I did is I filled in on one side here. Mostly through, I was trying to, you know, make sure it doesn't just goop out on the other side. But I tried my best to, you know, fill in around here, right? Let's go back over here. Let's see here. You fill it in, and then, so the way you can smooth this out, because it's going to be thick, and it's actually going to be very tacky and want to stick to everything. So what you
Get your butt up, you go over here to the cabinet, and you open that cabinet up again, and we reach right there for the rubbing alcohol, right? And you reach up here, put your gloves on because you want to keep your fingers clean from all that black junk all over your hands. You come back over here and you sprinkle a little bit of the rubbing alcohol on here. And of course, change the color. It's kind of a grayish color. It comes out really, really black, like this color black. But you'll put the rubbing alcohol on here and it thins it out a little bit on the outer surface here. So you can spread it. You can spread it all out and smooth it out and get it all filled in good, right? And the rubbing alcohol will off gas. It'll evaporate and go up there. So then what I did is I got off my big old butt again and went back to the cabinet. Yes, we went back over here to the cabinet. The room of requirement. Looking for the tape. And realized that I don't put tape in here, doggone it. Where do I put? Oh, toolbox. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Can't fix it. Duck it. All right. Catch our breath, set our big old butt down. Right. So,
back to our previous scheduled program. We had filled in the one side here. We got our rubbing alcohol on here. We smoothed it out pretty good and evened out and pretty level. So then what we do is we take our masking tape, right? And that's what I did anyway. You can do it other ways, but I took masking tape just across here, across here, across here, across here, mostly just kind of sealing it up a little bit on one side. So then you flip it over and you see where you missed every spot or you don't have enough in. So you take your goopity goop and you goopity goop, 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 nice and full. And then your isopropyl alcohol, you sprinkle some more on, like pixie dust, and you push it down in there real good. Make sure your tape doesn't bulge out and it doesn't come out over here. And you can put your hand back here on this side with your gloves on, of course, so your pretty little pink fingers don't get all black and dirty, right? Yeah. So you hold that and you're packing that all in. Get it all nice and solid and packed in there good, best you can, right? And then we're kind of level, mostly level. So then comes the most exciting part of it all. You get to wait. And I mean professional grade waiting. Put that away. And then you said, wait a minute, let me pull this out real quick, because what's it say right there? What's that say? Professional grade. Okay, don't ignore all that. Professional grade waiting. That's right. Plan this in advance, because this takes forever to cure. Now it's room temperature vulcanizing, but there's a catch to that. Did I turn those lights off? Alexa, turn on garage door. There we go. Okay. The catch is you're putting so much in there. So I would say I would let it sit for 2 or 3 days, right? And what's going to happen, actually within 24 hours, it'll form a skin, basically. This outer layer will form a skin. But the inside is still nice and moist and fresh and juicy, and you can take something, a pink pen or something like that, and you can poke a hole. I think I might have even, no, this side's too pretty. Kind of. It had to have been this side. Tested my luck and poked it. Yeah, maybe, like right there. Yeah, and you poke through and you could push on the other end and it would ooze. Oh yeah, so the bottom side, I'm gonna forget that. The bottom side, you leave that tape on there. How did I do? Oh yeah, after 3 days, at the 3 day mark, I went ahead and I put tape on this side and I flipped it over and made sure that side got air. So the outside of that polyurethane forms a skin, and it's very thin, and you've got to be patient and plan this in advance, because what I found, the reason I already installed the motor mount on the engine side there already is because I did that first, and this was a trial and error, and then I started getting the other mounts. And yeah, I still got the trans mount that I still have to do up with the polyurethane and let it sit. And it sucks because once I do that,
you have to let it sit, and this is in the summertime too. I don't even want to gander how long it would take in the wintertime if sitting outside. And then I'm just doing natural off-gassing too. But it took probably 3 to 4 weeks to fully cure to where I was comfortable that it was fully cured inside, nice and solid. So, yeah, that's crazy. But I don't think I'll ever have to replace these. Well, yeah, another 20 years, I doubt it.
I should also probably briefly talk about how you do this one. How do you fill that up? So, being that this is the old one, it's not done. So on your new one, what you've got to do is get it down in there. And I also, I believe, I don't remember. I don't think I did. So this is just basically a rubber sleeve over this, which is separate. There's multiple pieces here. So what you've got to do is drill or grind that bad boy off, right? Because you've got, see this? There's 2 pieces here and they're riveted together. I'm gonna do that one, and do that one, and then pry them off, right? And so this bracket right here comes off, and then down in there, let's see, can you see? Yeah, down in there is a bolt. Goes through, mounts, bolts into this, right? So then you've got this off, you've got this off, and it's just this piece here and this bowl, and you fill up that bowl with polyurethane, and you let her sit.
So what I did was I did that mount first, and filled it with polyurethane, let it sit, do that whole month-long, because I wanted a demo first. I wanted to see how effective it was. Did I notice any difference? Was it too hard? I was worried about, was it going to be too hard? And I'm plumply ready to say that it's a good, comfortable ride. It did stiffen up. I did notice the engine doesn't vibrate as much, but it also it didn't do that, you know. Yeah. So if you went with the energy suspension, those harder polyurethane engine mounts, a lot of people have talked about it's the noise, vibration, the harshness. It's serious. It'll rattle your dentures out, you know. A lot of people put them in and hated it, couldn't wait, went and bought new mounts, just regular rubber mounts, to get them out because it was more than they had bargained for. And I'm trying to strike a balance. I want better handling on the suspension, but I want the engine and transmission and everything to be smoother, while adding, you know, filling in those gaps.
Yeah, filling in these gaps makes this more like a solid rubber bushing. Even though I'm filling these gaps with polyurethane, it's a softer durometer hardness than the chassis, the lower control arm bushings. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, we're still trying to English here. Anyway.
So that's what I wanted to stammer out. You know, I want improvements, but I also want quality of ride. And it's trying to strike a delicate balance. You know, I lowered my car. We saw that. There's no way in the world I'll ever slam it on the ground. I'm in Oregon. We have potholes, and you know, I'm in a good area, but we still got snow. Um, yeah, and I'm not interested in throwing sparks anywhere. You know, I wanted it lower. It looks great. I'm interested in the ride as well. Uh, I've already put in. Oh, I should show, but it doesn't matter. I put in an aftermarket rear sway bar on there already, so it stiffened up the back end. You don't get as much body roll like when you're, you know, around here we've got roundabouts. And before you had to be careful going slower around those roundabouts because that back end would just woo, you know, and you get almost get dizzy. And it doesn't do that anymore. It just hooks up and goes right around. I mean, it can probably be a little bit better, but I don't think so. Yeah, okay, so I could sit here and hold this phone and talk your ear off forever, but you've stuck around a long time, and I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm really starting to feel more in the mood to put out more content on here, especially on Scion stuff. I know this is all talking and rambling. I'm not doing a whole lot of doing. But yeah, I thought this was important to get out and follow up from my last video, and hopefully it's not 44. Yeah, some of these videos are pretty long. And not intentional, but I think there's value in them too because they're raw. And I think that's valuable because it's practical. You know, if I'm having issues, you get to see the issues, and you know, it's not all glossed over. And you know, I'm also not turning the camera off and having some mechanics do a bunch of work for me off camera. There, I just regular guy doing my stuff, right? So I do appreciate you coming along with the ride for me, man. Yeah, if you like this content, or if you're in one of the Scion groups with me, do me a favor, hit that like, comment, subscribe stuff. Shout outs, I love them. I've gotten a couple shout outs already from the last videos. Man, that's exciting. Anyway, thanks. Have a great one. Bye.